Now recording.
4:49. Hi, Izzy. 4:49 p.m. Sunday, September 13th, 2020. I am here with Izzy B, Faku, Ariel, Jeremy, Mia, and the real BCereus from Read My Lips, News and Politics. Welcome to the show.
What is up, everybody?
We are
Hello.
very happy to have you. One of our favorite guests. We've had you
Thank you.
once before, but it's been quite some time. And in 2020, time just seems to be very condensed and contain a lot of material. You know, that's how time is.
Yes,
this year.
it's like an Asgardian year.
Yes, it's like
It's,
an Asgardian year.
2020 is something
pair
else.
of assholes as well.
Something else. So yeah.
Agreed.
I love your Yang shrine. Always love to see a Yang shrine in the back of anybody's backgrounds.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. It's nostalgic.
And I liked your interview with Paget.
Well, it's
Thank you. Actually,
I
I have another interview with Paget coming. If not next week, the week after. I just spoke to her yesterday. So
mention us
that should be
just to like name bomb the Yang crowd.
I mean, they're all right. They're cool people.
All right.
So what have you been up to?
Oh man, I've been working like crazy. It was a time of like, am I gonna have a job? What's gonna happen? Am I gonna be able to put food on my table? Immediate work nonstop. Don't you think about rest? It was like so immediate because of coronavirus and what have you. So obviously, because
I wouldn't expect that because you've been so reliable with the YouTube content. It's so consistent.
I mean, honestly, I'll stay up to like 3 a.m. editing, and because it's a passion. Yeah, it's like a passion of mine. You know what I mean? So I can't have it be all just work. I've got to do something that I'm passionate about or enjoy doing, or else,
Absolutely.
I'll fucking hate life. So
What's the point?
Hey man, being a content creator is no way a walk in the park. It is extremely difficult and competitive, and then the editing, it takes a lot of time and energy, even if you're at your best and you're consistent, just, it's like you just gotta
pennies.
And then
For pennies.
YouTube is for a penny. Yeah, YouTube is petty like that. I think Ariel mentioned this on the when we had our discussion on Island Uncut, where we were mentioning like go ahead.
The moving of the goalpost. So it
Right.
used to be that like you needed like a certain number of subscribers to get monetized. First, they just let everyone monetize. Then they stopped that. It was like 1,000 subscribers. And it's like, okay, it's not just 1,000 subscribers. It's like a whole number of views that you need. And then they said, no, it's not just the subscribers and the whole number of views. Now it's a whole number of watch times that you need.
4,000 hours.
Yeah, 4,000 hours. And then I'm like, stop moving these damn goalposts whenever the hell you want to move them. And then they can just create a rule that they just pull out of their ass. They don't even have to tell you and just ruin it. It's like, okay, like we have like no bargaining power in any of this stuff. They can just string us along for whatever the hell they want without us even like giving any of our input. But that's not just for YouTube. That's just like the working world now in general. They can just throw something out of left field whenever the hell they feel like it.
Exactly. It's
That's
always
why
doing something in left field. Always like adding stuff in, just to like like, what do you call it? Like shorten the group, or however you say it.
power or anything like that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Weed out the week or something like that. It's like this.
Well, I'm sure it's also partially done to stop people from being able to game the system after so long, because there are a lot of people who write bots and create programs that just meet the requirements and then don't really pay attention to their content, but start getting paid by YouTube. You know what I mean?
right, absolutely. It was interesting because when I first started it, I had no intention of making any money from it, and I said if I got 500 subscribers, that'd be dope. And now it's what 4,000 subscribers later, which I had no, intention of getting. I had no idea I was going to get that many subscribers, and actually hit the 4,000 hours of watch time on the second month. So my channel did become monetized relatively early, but it's still pennies on the dollar. Honestly, unless you're like one of these huge YouTubers, you're not really it's not a sustainable income. Like I still have to work. I have a full-time job. Like I manage my own store, but the real money on YouTube, which I've come to realize, is like via Patreon and like just your subscribers donating to you and other outlets like that. But if you're just depending on just the ad revenue off of YouTube, it's super inconsistent, and they're super strict with demonetization and things along those lines. You speak on certain subjects, you're almost guaranteed to get demonetized, which now you're making no money.
Oh, the other thing is like and I think you also mentioned this on like Nurse for Humanity, because like there was like when Andrew Yang, like I believe most of your content is about Andrew Yang, and then when he like there was more like audience like traffic coming in while he was campaigning, but then once he dropped out, like all the viewership, like just were definitely like significantly
for
lower.
everybody.
Yeah,
For
so
everybody.
It's like if
Russell,
you're not like,
for Paget.
yeah, if you're not like broadening your your
Talking
content
points.
or whatever, or yeah, your talking points, and like yeah, like trying to like improvise or whatever, then it's like you barely get any views. You're lucky I think you mentioned like 1,000 on a 1,000 views on a good day or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you hit the right topic at the right time, you'll hit 1,000 views. And you're like, all right, that's good. But during Yang's campaign, when he was running and active, 1,000 was small. That was man, what did I do wrong on that video? It didn't hit. Now if you get 1,000, it's like, all right, there we go. It's actually quite interesting, the dynamic.
Yeah.
But
it kind of relates to like.
I
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. I thought you stopped, and then could you?
No, I didn't stop. I was gonna say, but 2024, I'm sure it's gonna pick up for everybody again, and you're probably gonna see new content creators who are just coming aboard the Yang platform start to rise up as well.
I think we see kind of a similar pattern over on Twitter and such. Like a lot of people who were trying to get engagement back during the original run. Like engagement has dropped down a lot, and it takes a lot more encouragement to keep people together and to keep people moving towards the goalposts that we have. And I think it takes the most committed of us to do that. And in 2024, we'll need these people who have been fighting against the lack of energy to pick the energy back up and bring it back to where we were.
I mean, I was trying to like reach that level even while he was running, and it's like, but I couldn't like really gain much steam because of like the lack of energy I had in the situation that I'm in, and I'm been desperately trying to like get up to that level, that caliber with my channel and stuff, but it's just it hasn't been working. So, I mean, I'm hoping that when that year comes when there's a second shot or whatever, then and he starts running again. I'm hoping that it takes off or something, but it's like it's very questionable right now. It's like, and it's like, yeah, like it's very, very difficult and requires lots of energy.
I just really like I feel like I'm talking to family. I mean, it's actually really relaxing. When I record, I'll have some tea and I'll just talk to the camera and talk about, great things that's going on, or more than likely the bullshit that's going on. And honestly, in my head, I'm like, views be damned. As long as, because time is something you can't get back. So if I get 500 views on a video, which is pretty much the average right now, if I get 500 views on a video, and that's 500 people that took time out of their day to sit there and watch me babble, then that's that's perfectly fine with me. And then on top of it, to like the video and then, you know, engage in the comment section, to me, that's huge. That makes me want to still every day come home, record, and edit. And if you really think about it, 500 people is a lot of people. Like, I know we look at these big, you know, YouTubers, and we see the amount of people that watch their videos and the sub count, but 500 people is a lot. A lot of people can't even name 500 people that they know. So it's I don't know, man. It's something about it. Even if I made zero money off of it,
That's
I would still keep doing it.
It's like, if you think about it, anything other than the completely dehumanized metrics of like the marketplace and simple numbers, they were just a total arbitration. If you think it was like 500 like human beings, you can't name 500 people. I can't, right? I can't. We'd be here an hour or more if I tried, right? It's amazing. But yet, we make a video like that, gets 500 views, we see it, and we're like bummed out, like, oh no, why? What did I do wrong?
Right.
You know? What a world. We're psychic dysfunction.
Was kind of spoiled, because if you go back and look at my videos from only a couple months ago, 15,000 views, 12,000 views, 13,000 views, and you go to the comment section, 800 comments. You know what I'm saying? So when that became the norm, when I go to my dashboard and that was the norm, and then you look at it now, you're like, the fuck, you know what I mean? But it just makes sense because of the time and the timing that I was recording those videos, that it just made sense. But there is a huge disparity. But on top of that, YouTube has slowly been cracking down on content that it chooses to be superior. So, the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the Fox News and even the late night talk shows, they get more push to the recommended than my channel or a Nerds for Yang or a Secular Talk or even a Ben Shapiro or whomever. They kind of get pushed to the side if you're an independent news media, and then the mainstream media actually gets pushed. And this is from YouTube itself. They send us all letters. They send us all to our emails. This is the second time. I covered it both times that it happened. So now it's even harder for independent media. It's harder for somebody like Izzy to gain the kind of notoriety and the subscribers he wants, even just a year ago, and now it's even harder. So it's tough.
I do want to mention, for instance, that there's this one YouTube channel I know, I believe it's called Hodge Twins, or now they're called Conservative Twins. But like, back then, like, they had some pretty good content, and they would like make some funny comedic like videos or whatever. But and like I mean, if you're familiar with the videos, they would like curse a lot and stuff. But then like YouTube started demonetizing them because of that, and they had to like create like a separate channel to like have their fans to like pay for their content. And it just like it's hard to then like bounce back, and then all of a sudden they became part of like the radical right or whatever. And I'm just like, it's because of like YouTube just restricting everything and really like messing up their the sort of content they put out there. It's like, for instance, like, even though they have like 3-digit thousands of followers, it's like it's not the same, and it's because of YouTube moving the goalposts and censoring everything and stuff.
They just got herded into a corner that was not in line with what they started with, by trying to create content they could still profit from, is what you're saying, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what happened. They were comedic. They were really funny. They would talk about various topics. Nothing real political per se, but just various topics. And they were pretty funny. And I think
they didn't have politics. Even though they were conservative, they didn't have like politics in their videos back in the day. It was all like all the fun and they did like food reviews and stuff. And they, I mean, it's like, whatever. And then they started.
They had to re-image. They had to re-image themselves, and to their credit, it worked.
Right.
Yeah.
With Izzy, it's like, sometimes, like, when you want to get like tons and tons of views, it's like you have to sell your dignity, and that's what makes like neoliberalism so disgusting and gross. It's like you can act like a moron, or you could like run naked in the middle of the park, and then that'll just like go viral, and you'll be like set for life. I was just talking, there's a girl who acts like a dog, and she gets $10,000 a month.
A month. And she's
Yeah.
fully clothed. Let me just add, she's fully clothed. She makes 10K a month. That
Right.
I mean, that it appeals to somebody. There's somebody that it appeals to.
Yeah,
So.
But
it's
why?
it's
Sounds rough.
right. It's
See
just
what I
like,
did there?
I get it, bro.
Got it.
it's like sell your dignity, or like be out of a house and not be able to put food on your table. This is not a choice anyone should have to make. The system is fucking disgusting. You know? Yeah.
So I got a question for you guys then. Since we're on this subject of YouTube and its power and Twitter and its power, do you think? Because I'm undecided on this, and this is for everyone. Do you think platforms like YouTube and Twitter and Facebook should be government owned or no?
No, I don't think we need that if we have a UBI.
They should
And I think the government, if it owns the platform, it's all too easy for the government to censor the platform, isn't it? You know,
right? Not
Very much so.
I mean, like, I don't like corporations either.
All right,
But,
it's a tough choice.
I don't know.
I think my opinion is this for pretty much every product and every institution. There should always be a public option and the private options, so that they're competing with each other to create a product and whoever wins that war is who's on top at that time. But if there's always a public option, then there's always one that is, the base that is the standard for everyone. If everybody can get on that platform for free, perform for free, and it's regulated, then other platforms have to at least make those standards.
Right.
Just an
It should be like share like most content creators should be like the shareholders of it, so so decisions can't come from up on high, and they can just pull some random rule out of their ass or some random interface they want to use and just like shove it down everybody's throats.
It would be nice if there were a content creator owned platform, an alternative to YouTube, but Mastodon is that's like
might
Twitter.
get it would either get bought
like a
out,
content creator, like a content creator union.
Well, yeah, like yes, like a co-op. But you were saying, Ronnie, it would get bought out. You're right, because that's capitalism. That's what would happen. It would get crushed as soon as
what happened with Instagram. Instagram was popping. Facebook's like, let me just grab that real quick.
Yeah.
And the owners of Instagram, they were like, I can't turn this money down.
Yeah, right.
They weren't going to turn that money down.
It's the late
I think they bought it for like billions. Yeah.
It's the companies that can exist are juggernauts, and anyone else is just like a fly-by-night little scurrying rodent trying to not.
Yang Gang Roundtable makes an app. The app is popping. It's starting to get hundreds of thousands of people, and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And Facebook comes knocking. They're like, "Look, we like this. We're gonna buy it for. We'll buy it for. Slides you the paper. Cover a couple millions. Except for life, your families are set."
He actually is a Yang Gang member on Twitter from Twitter, Skeletor. He started something called Frey.world. He's trying to get people involved in. The intention is once they hit critical mass of members to start paying users for their data, and it's kind of like a cross between Facebook and Twitter. It's kind of fun. You should check that out.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Love seeing stuff like that.
It's like if they here's what I do. It's like if they tried to buy us out and give us like tons of money, I'd like say okay, but then I'd make like a secret message to all the people who like love us and say like, hey, we're starting something new. Drop them and go right here.
That's what I think we should do to avoid
like that's what we call it, like the Yang Gang Roundtable evolved, and then we're like, you can
evolved.
We'll like go. We'll let them keep that, and then we're like, come to the evolved one. So then they'll buy it out, but then no one's gonna care about it because we've made something better, and then like something like that. It would be interesting. It would be interesting.
Here's an idea.
Evolve our show into a Pokemon.
here's,
to a
Right.
Pokemon.
here's how we could avoid the binary of like public owned, private owned. Maybe we can avoid this by we can continue to allow companies to be privately owned, but we can create a new law where called like the Stakeholdership Act, where if you're a stakeholder in a company, if you meet any one of these 100 criterion decided on by experts, and so if you're like, if you are a content creator and the business you work with is a platform whose revenue comes from the content you create, you're a stakeholder. And then, some companies have to be structured so like 75% of their ownership is by stakeholders, people who actually have stake that's not just monetary in the company. So their monetary stake will match their real stake. That's what we should do, like a Stakeholdership Act. There we go.
That doesn't
And
sound bad.
here's the thing. It's socialism, but don't tell anybody, because if you don't tell people, they won't know, and they'll know how great. They'll just experience the benefit without freaking out about it.
Yeah, I was just-
I like mine. I like mine medium rare.
Isn't our public
Delicious.
socialism, but it's just like the worst kind of socialism.
such a scary word to people, even
Right,
though
exactly.
socialism is sprinkled all around them.
Look at this. Hang on. Our corporations are already socialist when they got the bailouts. So like,
It's corporate
what
socialism.
the hell is capitalism when socialism comes in every time when the big people fail? We do have social. It's
Corporate
just
socialism.
You have for the people, by the people, without a little touch of socialism. Because
Welfare is socialism.
We have socialized losses and privatized
look,
gains.
our
Yeah.
Congress and corporate CEOs are the biggest welfare kings and queens in the entire country. They get the
100%.
most welfare. So it's like you people are the biggest freaking socialists on the face of the earth. Where the hell do you get off like talking about like the thing?
Meanwhile,
Exactly.
we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the people got paid $1,200 once.
Right. And
Once. What is it? What was it like?
Once.
We're shut down for once. We were shut down for
Right.
what? 3-4 months.
We're still waiting for
officially
the second one.
and the feds bought out all those junk bonds. It's like
Yep.
whatever happened to people suffering for the consequences of their stupidity. They say that poor people are poor because they make bad decisions. Well, Wall Street made a big bad decision in 2008. Those toxic mortgages were all the bad decisions. So they made the bad decisions too. But since they already had the money to begin with, their bad decisions didn't affect them. Like we talk about the invisible hand of the market, but where's the invisible foot of the market to kick the asses of these jerks?
That's why I did a segment with Richard Wolff, and it some people not so fond of him, but most people on the channel
I am a
they
huge
like
fan
him.
of Richard Wolff. I keep telling the people
Right.
here, we got to get Richard Wolff on our show, and they're like, "Who is he?" So-
Yeah, no,
He's just a wolf. He's not in sheep's clothing.
I did a segment on him, and it was pretty well received, and he speaks some truth about literally what we're in and how companies view us and etc. He's a incredibly smart guy, and he hits the nail on the head every single time. But I think Sanders, speaking of socialism, I think somebody I forget who I was watching, but they said if Sanders would have never said he was doing was socialism, he would have performed even better, because it's
Exactly.
that word that
So
scares everybody.
Don't let people
Well,
know
I
the
mean,
Stakeholders Act is socialism.
There's a guy running in Florida right now. His name is Adam Christensen. He's like 26 years old. I think he's running for Congress. And he just like told a Trump supporter, like, well, don't we just have like corporate socialism when we printed all that money for like the banks and the CEOs? And a Trump supporter, like the wires came together, and he's like, wait a minute. Yeah. He's like, what? Huh? You know, like
That
yeah.
it's interesting how verbiage is. Do you remember when Obama was president in the before time? People absolutely hated Obamacare. There was those people that said they hated Obamacare, and they're like, well, what about the Affordable Care Act? And told them what the Affordable Care Act did, and they're like, yeah, give me that. I don't want that Obamacare shit. Give me the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I remember
Didn't
that.
even know that. You remember that? So it's all verbiage.
It's all verb.
man.
Well, that's
all
why
about
it's the
verb.
freedom dividend and not UBI. So,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Yang
Yeah.
said.
We're
So
all-
it's
I think
like,
someone said, oh, because UBI sounded like some sort of disease or something like, oh, you're
like
giving a
UTI,
UTI.
urinary tract disease.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I
So
just heard
so
some good news, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So
Seems like one of the one fears we don't have to worry about is Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court. He has rejected Trump's offer from current reports. So that's just a tiny.
well, I mean,
Smart,
like Trump is white
smarmy
ugly.
Ted Cruz.
Ugh,
Smarmy
God.
Ted Cruz.
That
That dude's so smarmy. He's
He
so
should-
smarmy.
He's really cruising for bruising, isn't he?
He's like out of a cartoon.
cruising
Man.
for
He's-
bruising.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz scared me. I remember it was when Trump was running, and Ted Cruz was in the race. He said something. He was talking about bombing overseas or whatever, and Ted Cruz said he wanted to see the sand glow. I was like, oh, like it was just when he said that, I was like, this dude, he just gives no fucks. He wants to see the sand glow. He was just so eager to bomb over there. He's so smarmy.
He must be high.
Yeah. And then Ted Cruz, like when we were talking about like a bailout for people, he's like, oh, why not just give everybody like free lattes and stuff like that? It's like, you idiot. Like, that's not the same thing. We basically give all the free lattes to Congress and they just sit on their ass and do absolutely nothing for the people. So like, just don't. It's like, it's so ridiculous. He doesn't know, like you know what pisses me off when people say like what like let's have a $15 minimum wage, and then some jerk is like, why not make it $1,000 minimum wage per hour? It's like, okay, then why not sell a piece of bread for like $500? Because there's a happy medium somewhere in between there, and you can't just like shout out all this hyperbole without doing any of the measurements, you bonehead. It's like
a Disney villain. He has zero empathy for anyone else. He just does nothing to indicate how to be human.
Yeah.
I dare them to say the same. I dare them to like have the same suggestion or ask the same question to like Milton Friedman. See how that ages out. It's like,
well, Milton Friedman talked about it like a negative income tax, which like was a UBI, but like none of the libertarians want to bring that up when you're talking about him. Oh, and it was like I was having this talk with a libertarian on Twitter, and then he's like, well, if we just give UBI, then people are just gonna sit down and play video games all day and like
sounds
not
like
want
Ben
to work.
Shapiro.
And yeah, exactly. Well, I'm
Ben Shapiro.
and then no, but then I tagged Charles Fossey and Kyle Christensen in my response, and I tagged this and then I tagged this study in Iran about a basic income that showed that they actually worked more and studied more. And then I told him, you know what? Facts don't care about your feelings. And
I saw that one.
He didn't respond after that. He didn't respond. I said, look,
facts over feelings.
The data shows that people just don't sit down and do nothing when they're getting extra money, that they actually want to do more and they actually want to contribute more. And so what you want to live in your fantasy land that you just think people are not going to do? And then he didn't even have a response after that.
I'm just always amazed when. Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just got done mowing my grass. On the topic of libertarians, though, there are so many different types of breeds and ideologies within the Libertarian Party. I mean, for example, like myself, Zach Sacker, and Elizabeth, we all consider ourselves libertarian. There was a huge group of people that consider themselves libertarian that support Yang through his campaign, even to this day. And the idea of UBI. I mean, a UBI at its core is a center-right libertarian idea. And
I think it's the best of all worlds. You know, it's the best of the left and it's the best of the right put into this forward-thinking idea. I think we have people on both sides who are sick and tired of the gridlock. They're sick and tired of the childish behavior. They're just sick and tired of the bullshit. And they just want to come together and say, you know what? Like, let's just fix something. Let's just solve a problem. Let's not keep acting
Solutions.
like toddlers.
You're looking at it from a solutions-based perspective. UBI is basically poetry. It's like beautiful for solutions.
It's step one. It's the foundation.
It's the floor. Like, you can't build anything if you don't have like a floor. It's like you can't you can't start drinking like mountain, not like Red Bull if you're like if you haven't started drinking milk yet or something like that. It's something.
God, I went straight to Red Bull, Asia 3.
Right. Yeah, it's just like you're the thing that comes before. Yeah. It's step one.
That's why I'm so if you watch my content, and I've actually eased up a bit, I was pretty hard on the people that gave Yang shit when he first started talking about UBI, that laughed at it and snarked at it. I was really, and I've eased up a bit because it is possible for people to change their mind. I will concede that it is possible for that to happen, but I will never forget watching the debates and seeing what people were saying in interviews, like, oh, that's original, and just like laughing at it, who are now on that train. It is like she said, it's poetry. I don't understand how you can be against the UBI in some fashion.
You know why this has happened, my friends, is because like people have gotten so polarized that anything that like is even like slightly to the left or to the right of them, they go like, oh no, I'm so against it, that's so bad, and we have to like get away from that because there's a reason why Yang got the most amount of disaffected Trump voters to come to his side, because he said, hey, I understand what your problem is. And what pisses me off about the Democrats is they don't want to say we understand what your problem is, or we're trying to understand why you voted for Trump or why you did what you did. They just want to judge. They just want to know. You will get nowhere with just wanting to judge people without understanding why they make the decisions that they made.
Or they get voter shamed.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's like you instead of saying that this person sucks and the person that you like is like terrible, tell me what you're offering. If you're not offering anything good or anything new, and you're just like judging the decisions that I make, I don't want to listen to you.
They're narcissists.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
If anything, you're gonna double down on your original feelings.
Right.
Which
that's
is what I came across. Which is what I came across. This is why I did the video about it. I don't know if you saw, but it was ugly. It got ugly on Twitter. And that's why I did the video about it, because I see it in real life situations as well, not on the interwebs. And I'm all for the battle of ideas. I'm all for discussing, all right, let's talk about this person, that person. Let's weigh some pros and cons. And if you still feel how you feel at the end of the day, great. I'm not going to shame you for your vote. That's your choice.
Now we're
but he doesn't. I don't think he Rave Dubin truly believes in the battle of ideas.
But what was that famous quote? Like, big minds talk about ideas.
I don't think Ronnie was finished.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No,
right.
You were talking about.
I was Einstein quote. Yeah, which is big minds think about ideas.
Big minds talk about ideas, like medium minds talk about events, and small minds talk about people. And Yang was coming in with that idea, and all the small minds on the Democratic side were talking about Trump, who is a person.
And they bought a lot of ad space to talk about it, and they just really drowned out the conversation we should have been having. And that's what they always do.
Well, that's because Trump gets ratings. That's why they talk about it.
And it helps Trump when they talk about it too. Yeah.
And it's to the point you're not allowed to talk about the bad attributes of any of or Biden. Let's just single Biden out.
I think because Trump ignore that and simply talk about it and go, "What are you gonna do? Do it."
Right. Exactly.
Right. How do you deal with like a bully who's threatening you?
Just because you don't like drinking pee doesn't mean you're gonna like drinking battery acid. You know,
Right.
like they're both, you know,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, they both suck, but one is
they both
slightly
suck.
worse
Exactly.
than the other.
Whether you're dealing with you know, like drink battery acid because it's not pee. Drink pee because it's not battery acid. No.
Yeah,
Can I get some orange juice? Can somebody get me some orange juice? You know, what happened to that? It's like, you know, and we don't see it like that. Like Yang is basically like an energy drink, whereas like Trump is disinfectant, drinking like Clorox, and Biden is just
eating
like
Tide Pods.
Tide Pod. Yeah, exactly. It's like no more of this. This sucks less. More of
I think we got to
this
just
works.
stand up to the voter shamers. You know, if someone tries to
Right,
voter shame, you
exactly.
stay calm and just treat them like they're being a child and be like, no, the system doesn't work if we vote out of fear. We have to vote out of like a
Right.
sense of
Cut
optimism.
a swath.
I think
Yeah.
regardless
That songbird.
of regardless of who you're voting for, I think the most important thing to remember is that we're all individuals and that none of these candidates are perfect. Not any one of them. The third party ones don't particularly inspire me either, like in a great way. They just don't have the leadership quality that like Yang had. But that's the position we're in, and we're all making the best decision we can with the
Right.
material we have from the perspective we've been, you know, brought into our lives with.
Right.
That's who we are.
Well, listen, I'm all for battle of ideas, but as long as you aren't acting like some freaking high schoolers and you know throwing like insults and cheap shots or whatever.
I mean,
and,
yeah.
or doing
But I mean, like,
and shaming and smearing. It's like, come on, we can disagree, you know, in a civilized manner. You know, have a solid dialogue or whatever.
the solution, I'm telling you, like, for me, when if they start calling me names, if they start being outraged, that's fine.
Walk away.
Do you ever watch wrestling? There's a term called no selling, right? It's where someone pretends to hit you and you don't wrestle back. You don't pretend they hit you.
Don't react.
You don't.
Yeah.
If someone's like, "How dare you? You monster!" And you're like, "Oh, you don't get mad. They called you a monster because you know they're the person who's like they're disturbed, and they're disturbed by the media that's made to make them disturbed. They're just responding to the propaganda. It's not that there's anything even wrong with them. It's totally
Right,
normal. The
yeah.
world's bad. The world's fucked up. So it's be like, all right, yeah, I know what's going on. You're affected, and that's why you're angry. But I'm not going to get angry because I know why you're angry. So I'm done. It's just let them exhaust themselves. Let them shame. Go okay, because they have no power unless you work for them, and we don't. If you do, I don't know. Keep it up. Be like, yeah, sis boom ba, Biden, hooray, you know, whatever. And other than that, just be like, no, you're wrong, and I don't care, and you're not affecting me. You're not even affecting me, and then just let them tire themselves out.
Yeah.
I think the discourse.
Because
the discourse. I'm sorry. You go ahead. I'll follow up after you.
okay, I was just gonna say
Well,
it's okay to call bait. When somebody is trying to make you angry, it's okay to point out, hey, I'm not arguing that, and you're trying to lead this conversation, and I'm not, you know, I don't give consent to that.
You can, yeah. That's one way.
Yeah, I don't mind engaging because I'm just gonna troll them back harder. When you have
behavior,
when you have people and think I don't know, some of you might have saw it, when you have people, you know, shaming who I consider an OG Yang Gang, Russell from Grassroots Yang Gang, who literally traveled step by step, state by state with Andrew Yang, intimately knows Andrew Yang, I'd say is a friend of Andrew. He played with his son and et cetera, telling Russell this is what you need to do because this is what Andrew Yang's doing, and telling Russell Andrew Yang's philosophy, who he knows inside and out, right? Wake up, you know, you're an idiot, you're F this, you're stupid, and then they were piling up on him and expecting that
you don't do that. That's
to
just
change his mind. Like, you're right, I'm a fucking idiot, I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden. First of all, Russell was a conservative, right? He never claimed himself to be a Democrat. He said he was a Yangocrat, and now that Yang's not running, a lot of the conservative Yang gang are not just gonna vote for Joe Biden. Trumper for Yang is not just gonna vote for Joe Biden. Like, that's not happening, right? Russell from Grassroots isn't just gonna vote for Joe Biden. Like, that's not happening.
Either one. This is like
Like you gotta come on, like let's wake up. These were Republicans, and the only reason they even came to the Dem side was for Andrew Yang and his policies. And now he's not running, and then the Democrats that are running aren't embracing his policies at all. But he's supposed to vote. He's supposed to vote. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
So entitled. The entitlement of these
so
people
entitled.
is revealed when they're like, if you have ever once endorsed any Democrat, you're ours for life. And if you don't, then shame on you. How dare you? You're one of the bads. You know, it's like, get out of here, you dummy. What are you doing?
So entitled.
I voted Green in 2016. Anytime somebody told me that I was helping Donald Trump win, I was more devoted to the idea of making the Green Party blossom than ever. Yes. It was a moment of anger, and we've got a lot of anger right now going around. And the harder you push somebody, the angrier you are to people, the more that negativity feeds.
I got the same shit when I voted for Jill Stein. Yeah.
That negativity reads on social media 3 times more than positive stuff. So every time we get involved in some stupid fight, we are creating a new monster that we have to then fight back.
I think the monster that's brewing now,
it's just, and this was, let me be clear, this was Yang Gang, or, you know, whoever. There's no, you don't have to fill out a form to be Yang Gang. This was Yang Gang getting on Russell, and I'm like, all right, if you have no idea who I am, fine. You know, I'm dust in the wind. But you're killing yourself, and you have no earthly idea who he is at all. And it was like the entitlement. It was really bad. And so I could have not engaged, but I decided to engage.
It's embarrassing. Like, how dare they have a
really
hat and act that way? It's like,
oh, humanity first, huh?
Yeah. I think humanity first is gonna go out the window.
Jeremy, I don't know if your audio is working, bro.
Oh, test.
Yeah, I can hear you. A little quiet.
It's just a little. I'm sorry, but
yes,
we can hear what you're saying.
I would say
can't hear Jeremy at all. Like, I see his things glowing, but I can't hear him.
All right, anybody
I can say what he says.
I can hear you.
If he can.
Hey, Cruz can see him glowing.
Poor Jeremy.
I'll repeat what you asked to Ronnie, if it's necessary.
Okay, yes, please.
Sure. Yeah, I think the monster that's brewing in this country right now, like the unspoken elephant in the room, is that whoever wins in November, my God, I hope they win in a landslide, because the level of violence to sweep the nation, if it's close or disputed, is going to be something that we haven't seen since the 1800s.
Did you catch that?
No, I didn't hear anything
about it. So Jeremy is asking, what do you think of the possibility of, in the case of a tight, contested election, violence escalating at a scale we've not seen since the Civil War? Real escalation in the order of magnitude of civil unrest we're experiencing. Do you think that's a realistic possibility? And do you think that could be avoided by like a landslide outcome rather than a tight race?
I think at this point we need a landslide outcome. Yeah. Because I was talking to an older lady. When I say older, I mean she was like in her 60s, right? And she was asking me, do you vote? Like, do you vote? Are you gonna vote? Just randomly, sporadically. So I started talking to her about politics. And I said, you know, there's a slight chance Trump could win. And she lost it. And this is a older 60 some odd lady. She's like, I will not take. She slammed her fist on the on the counter. People right now are so, I don't know if I want to say emotional, not passionate, because there's a difference. People are so emotional right now with what's going on in politics. I think there will be people will have
I see 3 potential outcomes there. If I could just respond to this real quick.
Please.
We got like a potential, so like, okay, during a Trump presidency, that's an acutely bad time. I would have a bad 4 years, but I would be looking forward to what comes next, because there's an opportunity there. There's still a power vacuum. We could get Yang. We can get real progress. Now in a tight race where the country falls apart, that's perhaps an even worse time than Trump. That's real harrowing, life-changing stuff. But I've got whatever comes next to look forward to. You know, that kind of instability probably won't last forever. And then maybe then we can get something other than conservatism and neoliberalism, this duopoly. And the third option, though, nice landslide for Biden, stable Biden presidency. Okay, that's just about as bad for me as Trump. I've got no chance to make it in that economy. I've got no way I'm ever gonna like have a quality of life where I own a home or
sick.
anything. Yeah. So and it's stable. So I've got nothing to look forward to if Biden's president, because in 4 years we're gonna get Harris and then Buttigieg, and they've got the lock in. It's neoliberalism for 50 years. So I don't think that's what I want. I'm voting for Howie Hawkins, Green Party.
Yeah.
That's me. So.
I think the main goal right now is to get the right people in Congress, because they're the ones who have the final say and create the bills and stuff. Because here's where we're at. Okay, we have all these cases of like civil unrest. The economy is in the shit. California is literally on fire, and and climate change is going crazy, and we're divided, and we're not getting any sort of compensation or whatnot. And also, there are more lives being lost and wasted. Evictions are happening, and like not enough support or whatever. It's like we shouldn't even be like this. We're supposed to be like a first world country or the greatest or whatever. Whereas you have cultures like the French and other places throughout the world that they have less resources than us, and yet they still manage to like keep themselves afloat and keep themselves organized and stuff. Whereas we're the ones in an absolute mess.
I don't know what's going on with us. Like, I don't know. I was watching the Chiefs play a couple days ago, and the NFL, surprisingly, who was not so much on it like the NBA, have started embracing a bit more like unity and Black Lives Matter-esque situations and things like that, a lot more than they have before, which was surprising. And so right now what they're doing is let's stand in unity, right? Let's unify, which is not a bad message, unity, right? And so they were standing in unity, and the entire stadium booed, right? And so I'm just like, we can't even do something as simple as stand in unity without some sort of backlash. If the wrong person gets in, and that's relative to who we consider the wrong person, who the wrong person is, I think there's going to be a lot of unrest and protesting and calling bullshit and marching. Yeah.
And automation is coming, and we're heading to the Great Depression. It's like it's like it's like what happened in like when Morpheus like showed Neo like the desert or whatever. I feel like that's going to be the outcome, sooner than later.
But remember what Yang said. There's two ways to have a revolution can happen. Either we undergo it or we get in front of it. And as the Yang Gang, we were trying our best to get in front of these things, but I like to call the mainstream media like the reality distortion machine. Didn't want anybody to hear our voice. That's the thing. It's like, how do we get more people such as ourselves more exposure so we can cool down the heads? Because all these people's heads are like on fire, and Yang was like the only one that could kind of like put the fire out and help people to like think clearly. And we have that. Like, we know that there shouldn't be this war. We know how to get people to get along. But the problem is that we need more exposure. We need more people to know about us. They don't even know about us.
Well, as an
yeah, and that's
no, go. You're the guest. You're the guest. Priority one.
Well, I was. Thank you. Well, that's why when Yang, started being like doing commentary for CNN, I wasn't too taken aback, because I'm like, okay, as long as he stays Andrew Yang, I have no problem with him getting his face out there more. I have no problem with him doing, back and forths with, I'm going to call her Helene, because that's always what I know her by, Dreyfus from Seinfeld, and just interacting with Dave Chappelle and other celebrities. The more he can get his face out there, the better, as long as he remains Andrew Yang and for his policies and remains the same person he's always been. I have no problem with him.
Yeah, build
getting
bridges.
As long as
Bridge
he keeps helping the people, yeah, it's like whatever.
And he's done so much after. First of all, let's all think about the fact that he got farther than Kamala Harris, and he's not the VP. That's interesting in
That's
itself.
a travesty.
He got farther than her, but he wasn't considered for VP.
Tulsi killed Kamala back in the debate, so
I think we
Destroyed
can
her.
confidently say that was a decision based on wanting to have a female vice president.
Yeah,
not based on,
female of color.
anything else.
for
He
vice
literally
president.
said, "I'm picking a woman" before he decided who he was picking. So it's not like he had Kamala in mind in the first place. He just knew he wanted a woman on the ticket.
Which I can see how that is something major for a lot of people, for a lot of boys, girls, young women, women of color, etc. He definitely cut a lot of people off at the knees by saying, well, this is what it's going to be no matter what. I don't care what your qualifications are, or how far you got, or how you did. He's done so much more even after he stopped running. He's given away a ton of money, and have helped a ton of people out, and has worked with other cities to start implementing like UBI-esque programs in there that goes relatively unnoticed in the media. But I think he is building himself up. So by 2024, people will know who the hell Andrew Yang is.
it's like what that guy Dan Price did for his employees, like at his company. Giving like he took a pay cut and gave his employees like more money and stuff because he valued their work and all that stuff. It's like, so that's what Andrew Yang's been doing. For the entire nation, and it's like I hope that could become a major trend because that
Well,
UBI can definitely help.
well,
he
whether
has
whether
to
he
permeate
wins,
the market now. That's a thing that I think is one of your points there. Like, he has to be in the public like consciousness. Like, if somebody says Andrew Yang, it can't ever be, oh, who?
Right.
Like,
right?
you said Biden,
Yeah.
it could never be,
And
oh,
and
who?
he's such a wonderful soul that even if he never becomes president, as long as his policies reach the finish line, that's what matters. Like with all the
Right.
people
Yeah.
running for local office under his banner.
Very true.
Yeah,
too.
because he's the torchbearer.
He's a very humble guy.
Very humble, and like when I met him, I fully expected it to be like a, hey, how you doing? Tap on the shoulder, keep it pushing. Fucking hung out, and I'm like, this guy can be the fucking next president of the United States, and he's just chilling.
This guy could
with
be my roommate. It's like
us normies, and I'm like, this is insanity. Very, very humble. I almost wanted to be like, do you know who you are, sir? But I don't feel like I would have. And I mean, this could be completely untrue, but I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that experience with any of the other candidates running. Like, I don't feel like Klobuchar would have been like,
that's the problem.
fucking hang out.
With our system, man.
There's a
That's
lack
the
of
problem
humility.
with our system. We have like super narcissists and super clout chasers who just want to be in office with no humility at all, and it's all about pumping up their ego and pumping up their brand and their
correct.
name and everything like that. And those are the opposite kinds of people that we need to be doing this work.
Yep, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. So, look, I don't know who everyone's voting for, but I think it's going to be incredibly close.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be incredibly. I think there's a lot of people that are afraid to speak out about who they want to vote for fear of getting voter shamed. And the reason I think this is because when I dropped that video, the amount of outpour and outreach in the comment section and just to my inbox in general was massive about people saying like, this has been happening to me. This happens to me all the time. And so I'm like, man, the amount of people that must be like on the fence about somebody and then spoke out about something they didn't like about one of the candidates and was attacked by it, kind of pushed them over to the other side. I think it's going to be incredibly close. And if Trump loses on that, if Trump is on the losing end, I do think he's going to try to contest it. He's going to say it's fake and do over and a whole bunch of other bullshit.
Yeah, I think especially if Trump contests the election, I think
No, Jeremy's talking, but I can't hear him, so you guys got to tell me what
Okay.
he said.
We'll translate it for you.
I don't mind translating.
Oh, you got this one.
I'm
then,
sorry,
Izzy.
dude. Yeah, so I think if
Did a whole
Trump
bunch of
contests the election,
expletives.
if Trump contests the election, I think there's a decent possibility of where we will see. Well, it's not even a decent possibility. The Cal exit movement, which really gained a lot of steam last year and a little bit earlier on this year. You're going to see people like if Trump contests the election, we're saying, "Hey, fuck you guys. We're still going to be the 5th largest economy in the world. We actually don't need you." And you will see a huge secessionist movement grow within the on the West Coast. Whether or not it takes off or not, that's the big picture, or the big question, rather.
Yeah, things will definitely escalate. You know, if whether he wins or loses. And also like he's a reality TV star. He does
Izzy, hold on, Izzy. What did he say? What did he say?
Yeah, well, pretty much. Jeremy was pretty much saying that, like if Trump loses, like he'll just say, I don't care if we if we lost or whatever, like we're still the best, or and it's like
And then you're going to
keep me silent or whatever, and then he's probably just going to keep riling up his base and all that, and. I mean, like on both sides, that's how it is, and like and the issue is there's not enough people like us who are trying to come together to solve the problems of today and
Bridge
tomorrow.
He also mentioned a successionist movement might rise up from all of that.
From California specifically.
Mm.
He said that he was concerned that Trump might contest a close election, and that might result in a Cal exit scenario. That a Cal exit has been gaining some steam. Haven't heard too much about that myself. I don't know. What do you think, Ronnie?
I do think if it's really close, he'll contest it. I'm almost 100% sure that if it's really close, if it's not a blowout, that he'll contest it. And at one point, and I remember talking to Trump or Yang about it, Biden was up average 10 to 12 points. I was like, oh, Trump's getting obliterated. Because I said, even if the polls are slightly off, let's say Biden's up by 7 points, that's a huge lead. And then within like a month's time, Biden was only up by 3 points, which is what Hillary was up by, which is within the margin of error. And I don't know exactly what happened to make that drop happen. But if it stays at like a 3-point average kind of deal, and we're really close to voting time, to election time, it's gonna be close.
Hey, Ron,
I
got a feeling, man, that if this voter shaming comes up, Trump might win again. So this like you really got to stop like shaming people for their votes, because like it have a huge backfire, and it's also just wrong. It's just disrespectful, and
No, absolutely. It's everybody's. It's Faye's choice. It's Jeremy's choice. It's Izzy's choice. I can give you the information. I can give you my ideas. I can give you my opinions. I can throw in facts. What you do with it is completely up to you. I feel it is the politician's job to earn your vote, and if they haven't done it, far be it from me to be like, wake up, you're an idiot. You do what you feel is going to be best for you. And that's where it ends. That's how I'm not going to shame anybody else for whether it's a Trump voter, a Biden voter. If you feel you can hold your nose and vote for Biden, sure. If you feel you're done with the Democratic corruption and that it's never going to stop, and you want to go to the Trump side for the orange man, if you want to, that's up to you. If you want to vote for third party, that's up to you. If you want to write in Yang, that's up to you. Like, it's your choice at the end of the day. And I can't believe the hubris of people getting on other people. Like, you're going to school Russell about Andrew Yang. Like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, our choice, our freedom. It's like this isn't like Korea or whatever. It's like you have the freedom to choose, make whatever decision you want.
And acting pacifist and out of concern of the vulnerable, I just hope that whichever path we go on is the best outcome for humanity, because my biggest fear is violence coming to people who really can't defend themselves.
Mhm.
That's my concern. People who are that basically wraps up the idea there, and I've got a call coming in, so I'm gonna.
Trump.
Well, yeah,
Trump's like, I hear you're talking about me, Songbird, and let me just tell you, I'm gonna win by a landslide. Don't ask how I got this number. I know when anybody's talking about me.
It's gonna be a huge landslide, wonderful landslide. It's gonna have my name on it as well.
Tell you what will have his name.
He could have.
This is what will have his name. It will affect the election. The October surprise will be our check with the president's name on it again.
But
that might change things.
Could have easily, like, when the pandemic hit, right, and then they were talking about, Congress trying to pass this money for people. He could have easily, I could see Trump have been like, I'm going to look out for the people because this is ridiculous. He would have blamed it on China. He'd be like, look what China did. Look what they did. I'm going to look out for the people. You're all getting money. Don't worry. I'm a very wealthy guy. You all are going to get money. He could have easily said that and not even called it a UBI or called it whatever. And gave people money every month and just bragged about the shit.
Democrats would be like, buddy, but don't take his money because he's bad.
Right. He could have easily.
I remember in one press conference when Trump went out, the reporter asking, like, so when are the people going to get the stimulus check? He said, you're going to get it very soon, very soon, very, very soon. It's like, okay, when is very soon?
And he said, I want to go bigger than what the Democrats are proposing. So what the hell?
Right.
So
I could have, in an alternate reality, I could have easily seen him giving more. The Democrats said 12, they're cheapos. I'm giving you 15 for at least 4 months, and then we'll come back and talk about.
I'm telling you, that's the October surprise, though. It's coming. He's going to be like, guess what? The Democrats don't love you, but I love you. $2,500 from Daddy Trump. You're going to vote for me again. I know you are,
Daddy Trump.
It's going to be, it's a very beautiful check. It's going to be a very beautiful check.
I don't know.
Now that's why he's waited so long.
I don't think it's going to be 20. I don't think it's going to be 25.
It's going to be $7,000 every mayor. It doesn't matter. Money's fake, especially to Donald Trump. I can do anything. I can't do it like Izzy can.
I can do anything.
See, it's because
Trump.
I'm
just.
But I think that Congress will try to rein him in and such. So
they'll try. But
down, and then whittle down further.
It's an embarrassment, man.
Barely what we got now, or the same.
Well, I mean, it's not likely. Oh, but that will
just random specks of
populism.
Though,
do you guys imagine $1,200 in stimulus and $600 boost to unemployment? But why was it $1,200 and why was it $600? Every different state has a different cost of living. Food, rent costs differently. Utilities costs are different. But they just pulled.
I can explain.
But it doesn't.
In New York.
But then it's he just pulled. And then our government just pulls these numbers out of their asses without any explanation.
I think they did.
No, they didn't pull that 600 out.
The 1,200. I think they did a breakdown of the 1,200 as to why they did the 1,200. But I don't want to. I don't remember exactly what the breakdown was, but they came to that number for a reason. I feel like Jeremy's about to tell us, and I can hear you now randomly.
Okay.
Right. Hey. So, I really can't speak to the 1,200, but the 600. Mm-hmm. Well, so the way it was originally drafted was people were not supposed to get 600 on top of their original state unemployment claim. It was supposed to be 600 total, and the reason they came to that 600 total was because that equates to $15 minimum wage. Right, so the way you were supposed to get it was you would cap out max $600 because hey, we say this should be the standard of living, $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, and then it turns out the legislation was a little wonky, and and lo and behold, we got it on top of your state unemployment,
which helped a lot of people out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not disparaging it. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what kept our economy juiced when it was tanking.
It was just accidentally great.
It was accidentally great.
Mm-hmm.
There was a restaurant owner. I don't know if I did the segment. I did do a segment on it where in her state they opened back up and they had to go back to work, and her staff they were collecting unemployment, and she let her staff stay on unemployment and not come back, and ran the restaurant herself because she said she couldn't even come close to paying her staff what they were making on the unemployment, and she'd rather them get that than come back to work and make shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the indictment of just the system that we have. That's not an indictment of how much more unemployment was. That's an indictment is that we're not getting paid what we're worth.
Precisely. And she understood that, and I applauded her for it. Because that was dope of her. She didn't have to do that. Because technically, in a lot of states, when you were called back to work, if you refused, they would take you off of unemployment. But she didn't report them.
Right.
She let them do what they did, and that was dope of her.
But that's the stupidity of unemployment. It's like it goes away when you want to improve your life. That's the whole reason. It's like the welfare punishes you for wanting to improve your life. That's the stupidest thing on the entire planet.
Yeah, I think it also goes to show that people will take the money over healthcare when given the option too. Because if you're on unemployment, well, you're no longer getting your employee provided healthcare. So at the Medicare for Medicare through your employer versus UBI, just like Dave Chappelle said, people take the money every time.
Yep.
They do. It's true, but and that's sad because
where do you visit more, your doctor or your grocery store? I mean, come on,
grocery store.
Exactly.
Right, but let me mention something. So I this was like 4 or 5 years ago. I had to go to the hospital, and I had to stay in the emergency room for a week and some change. And I'm a manager. I have the top tier healthcare you can get in my company. And at the end of it all, I still owed $15,000. And this is with healthcare. I have insurance. And so even when people do take the healthcare, it's still riddled with fucking problems. And if you don't pay off that $15,000, it's going to affect your credit, which is going to affect you in other circumstances of life, et cetera, et cetera. Some people obviously have medical bankruptcy and stuff like that, but that's just ridiculous that I pay a lump sum out of my check every month. They take it. They make sure they take it. I haven't seen a check yet where they haven't taken it. And I still had to pay $15,000 at the end of it all. It was just ridiculous. Who has 15K? What average American just has 15K on hand? Most people don't even have $400 for an emergency.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary that we have
unless you're living with family or something like
that's
that.
probably pocket change for like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch.
Right.
Exactly. Pocket change. Yeah.
I've never had $15,000 in my life, ever.
But Ariel, what you were saying about family, that's really dependent on the size of your support network too, though. Like, it shouldn't be dependent on the size of your support network. There are people who have left their family for very good reasons behind, or whose family turned their backs on them, or who just have the misfortune of, being orphaned from their family. So you can't depend on the support network.
Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a fucked up society we have where you can never have 15,000 on hand, but you can definitely have 15,000 in debt.
I wish all of us could take a 4 or 8 week vacation.
And mind you, so I was sick. I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. I was sick. I was having flashes. I was about to pass out and shit like that. I was sick. And so I'm in the hospital bed, sweating and trying to figure out what's going on with me. And then they come in, carting something, and they're like, so yeah, let's take your insurance. I'm like, you're fucking blurry right now, and you're coming in talking to me. Nobody, it's a ridiculous system. You're coming in asking about insurance information, and I feel like I'm fucking dying. That's why, yes, people will take the money every time, but healthcare is so important. It's so important. I feel like it gets overlooked quite a bit.
Yeah, it is important. I mean, the other thing I also have a story myself. I used to take this 'cause I also have hypothyroid. I used to take this medicine. I was prescribed this medication called hypothyroid, like Synthroid or something like that. And at the time, like my father he was working at CPS, Chicago Public Schools, and that was covering the insurance. And it was my endocrinologist that gave me that prescription. And I believe like months later, like while I was taking it, and this was like close to me finishing college or whatever. All of a sudden, like my father got laid off or lost his job and stuff, and then we had to like he had me switch to like the family plan or whatever. But then like I couldn't like get my because I'm just taking these because like they're the only ones that are like keep my body in check and like help me lose weight and kind of help me with the moves. But it's like it's like I'm like I was like that on and off it, but like it was the only thing that was like that keep me well rounded out while I was in school. But then he lost his job, and then I could no longer get him from like pick him up for Walgreens because then without the health insurance, it would be extremely costly. And then when they had me switch over to like the family plan or whatever, um, my endocrinologist wasn't covered, so I had to like get all my medication or whatever from my primary doctor, and she wanted me to she wanted to reduce it, and I'm like, no, I need a higher doses because that's the only time it works. That's what my endocrinologist gave me, but she's like, no, I want you to take another. I want you to starve yourself to take another blood test so I can like give you a lower doses or whatever. And I mean, it's like, but anyways, it's like, yeah, if I had better health insurance, um, yeah, most certainly, like I could easily get that. Make I would probably still be on it. And I probably won't, probably would help me get through all this stuff. But nowadays, when I tried to get back on it, it's like I just couldn't bounce back. It's just things just actually got worse. Um, so it's like, I mean, if there was better health insurance, yeah, most certainly I would still be on it, and I wouldn't be having this issue happen like out
I
of nowhere. So
I think when Andrew was running, and some people gave me shit for it, but I'd rather give you guys the ugly truth as opposed to a beautiful lie. I felt that was one of the issues he needed the biggest boost on, and he needed to patch up the most, was healthcare. And people ask me, if he would have focused on, because people were saying he wasn't doing what he should have done with African Americans. He wasn't doing as well as they had hoped he would do with African Americans. The people that suffered,
what sort of healthcare he was fighting for. I mean, it might have been his go-to issue, but it's like, I mean, he did like clearly mention multiple times like the sort of system he's looking at, and most importantly, trying to reduce the prices of prescriptions and many other things. And but then it sounded like people were. It's like they didn't hear him, and they just kept asking him like, "What are you gonna do about Medicare for all? What are you gonna do about Medicare for all?"
that's one of the
And
biggest
even
issues.
after he asked that, he's like, "Oh, so you don't support Medicare?" I'm like, "What?"
Well, listen, that's one of the issues he had, is because, and I walked around to random people on the street, and I asked them, when you think of Medicare for all, who do you think of? And almost everybody said Bernie Sanders. You thought of Medicare for all during when Sanders was running, when Warren was running, everybody thought Medicare for all was tied to Sanders. That was his thing. Now, I'm not saying he's the first person to come up with Medicare for all. I'm not saying he owned it. That's just what people associated the verbiage Medicare for all with. It was Bernie Sanders, right? So when
pretty sad because it's like there's many versions, and like his version is not all that great either. It's like there are better versions out there, but
that's neither here nor there, because to the average Susan Know Nothing and Johnny Everybody, they tied Medicare for all to Sanders. So when Yang was saying he supports Medicare for all, And then I'm not saying what his ideas were bad. I'm just saying when he said Medicare for all, they immediately tied it to Sanders. As a matter of fact,
Yep.
all the politicians in some way, fashion, shape, or form had to skew their healthcare in a Medicare for all-esque manner, right? They all had something for all. Even Tulsi had something for all. Kamala had something for all. Like they all had their own Medicare for all version, right?
But they didn't give Tulsi shit for it. They were like, when she said Medicare, they were like, "Ooh, yes, we're on her side." But when Andrew
No, she had a
Yang
different.
he's like,
No,
he
she had a
did
different
like,
name for it. Yeah,
Tulsi
I
got
think
shit for it.
what Ryan is getting at is that Yang, he literally ran on Medicare for all when in fact it was not Bernie Sanders Medicare for all. Like Pete Buttigieg, he ran on he ran on Medicare for all. Who wants it, right?
Wants it.
I think
Yep.
Tulsi Gabbard was Medicare for
kind of a branding
yeah.
problem, I think, is the idea here.
It was a huge branding problem. And if you look at the comment section during that time, in my videos, there were a lot of Sanders supporters because he went on Dr. Oz. I covered that. He went on a couple different shows, and they would ask him, so what about Medicare for all? And he'd kind of give like a vague answer, right? And we have to be able to critique if we can't critique these people that we love and vote for, then we're not being honest with ourselves. So one of my critique was he needs to change the verbiage. Not that he has to change his policy or his ideas, but he needs to change the verbiage. Even in some of his ads, it said Medicare for all. The Sanders supporters would see that. They'd see what Yang stood for. They'd come to my comment section and they'd be like, he's not for Medicare for all. He's a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And
at least you were nice about it. You weren't like, Tim Black and he how they react to it. It's like, my God.
Tim
It's
Black
like,
doesn't
listen,
like me.
Again, he's a humble guy, and if he doesn't know anything, especially like with the
Tim Black
policy,
Tim Black's not a fan.
There are a lot of people.
He's not a fan of
anymore.
But that's one of the things he needed, and he did eventually. I know it trickled down to him, no pun intended, because he eventually changed it to universal health care. You just saw like a shift. He just stopped saying Medicare for all. And he changed it to universal health care. Even in his ads, it said universal health care, which was smart. But I think a lot of the damage had been done because remember, originally, Yang was garnering a lot of Sanders supporters. I originally was a Sanders supporter, and I went to Andrew Yang. And they thought that's one of the things. He was actually to the left on Bernie on a lot of issues on drugs and how to handle an legalization of drugs. He was to the left.
Weed, marijuana,
weed and other drugs. He was to the left of Bernie on a lot of issues, and a lot of Sanders supporters went to him. But that Medicare for all definitely affected him in a negative way, and I just saw it in real time when it was happening.
I think
Go ahead.
Like people are going to need a lot of help with their medical condition if they're in poverty. So UBI kind of solves that problem in a direct way. It's like you're not like stressed out of your wits end, and you're not eating unhealthy food, and you're not using coping mechanisms like smoking and drinking. So that is kind of like UBI is kind of like a Medicare in and of itself to get you out of this stressful state and the state of having malnutrition. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Go ahead.
I mean, $1,000.
From a constructive criticism point, because you were saying about constructive criticism, basically, that I think that one of the big problems with Yang and the Medicare for all situation there was that he was more of the economy wonk, and he was still developing his knowledge and breadth on it while trying to make a plan. So that kind of is, of course, going to hit you with several iterations until you find the right one that actually expresses what you wanted to express. And I think that since he was catching fire while trying to craft that policy, it really suffered for being like something that wasn't already there, already developed and thought through.
Right. I think
and at this time, go ahead.
I was going to say, given...
Go ahead, I can actually hear you.
I think, given the, like I would say, probably genius level intellect that Yang had, if Yang wasn't on board with the Medicare for all policy, there was a good reason for it, right? Like there was a reason why he wasn't on board with the Bernie Sanders version, Medicare for all. And I think whatever those reasonings were probably valid, and would explain why he never adopted it as a core policy of his.
No, I agree, and I think. Listen, I don't think Medicare for all, Bernie's iteration, would have happened. I think he was aiming high and expecting to hit somewhere in the middle tier, public option. I'm not sure, but even the most avid Sanders supporters had to have come to some realization that Sanders' version of Medicare for all was even more left than the countries that already have a Medicare for all-esque system, right? So I don't think it would have happened the way he wanted it to. He was aiming high and hoping to get something in the middle. This is just my thoughts. He didn't say this. But yeah, I was Yang's a smart guy, and I was, whatever he was advocating for, I felt like he knew what he was doing, or he didn't just pull it out of his ass. You know what I mean? He
no doubt.
He thought about it,
Ronnie?
to some degree. Yes, Faye.
Sorry to pop in at the last minute here, but I wanted to join in right. I wanted to chime in on this Medicare for All issue that I had with Andrew Yang. I linked in the live stream chat an article by Washington Post where they, put all the different candidates during the Democratic primary, put their positions in different areas. Did they support Medicare for all? Did they support it with option? Do they whatever? And this is the way that Americans think about it. Based on how the news analyzes it, the way that Americans, learn to think about things. The real problem with messaging that Andrew had, I think, is that he can't just come out and say Taiwan. And if he was going to be supportive of any policy in Medicare for all space or universal health, it should be from a native understanding of how Taiwan works, because his parents are there enjoying the universal health system right now. Mm-hmm. And so it's like almost nobody who's from Taiwan, we're just so proud of it that it's probably one of the most unifying things in the divisive politics in Taiwan. And so we have equally divisive politics. Do we join China eventually? Do we push away China as quickly as we can and become independent? These are very, very big, heavy issues. But, nobody dislikes the universal health. The doctors love it. The people love it. And so this is something that I think would be in the back of his mind, but he couldn't just come out and say that. And so it was very difficult for him to message it to Americans using, this other mindset of, well, let's take a look at what are the actual, right? And actually work on those problems one at a time until we get to a place where we're all ready and in consensus we'll jump into the, total universal health. So like he would say, well, I'm for Medicare for all, but I'm not for forcing people, right? But the way that Americans think of things is like, we have 4 years. In this 4 years, we got to get everything done. Everything as fast as we can. Right? And then maybe for the next 4 years, we get pushed back again. We never think about it like, let's take a gradual process, right? And just do, talk to every single person that needs to be at the table. Find out what are each of the little solutions that we need first. Step 1, then step 2, then step 3. Now, how complicated that is to explain that to the American people. we don't have a way to say that.
Especially when you're in the middle of a race, when you have other people around you also throwing out their ideas and their thoughts. And so I'm sure if we gave Andrew Yang just like a platform and said, stand up there, we can listen to him, and we give him 2 hours, we'd be like, this guy fucking knows what he's talking about. But he would get drowned out by everyone else throwing their ideas. So he couldn't break it down the way you just explained it. Because as soon as he said, I'm for Medicare for all, but they're going to be like, all right, what do you have to say? Oh, okay, Pete. That's great. I like what Pete's saying.
Yeah,
so
like
it was
30 seconds, and they wouldn't let him speak, and also it's like, so.
Yeah.
But even when he could speak,
but I completely agree.
He couldn't come out and say Taiwan. He couldn't come out and say these other countries. Like Bernie Sanders could say that, because when he says it, people aren't going to jump on him and say, "Oh, and so you're actually, a foreigner," right? He doesn't have that problem.
Right. Except Canada, and then that's like that doesn't work because it's like I mean, unless you're talking about the French as far as Canada, but if you're referring to like the English and you just literally you're having to like wait 24 hours just to see a doctor. So a lot of people, if you mention that, like at least the sensible ones would be like, yeah, they'd rather just stick with America to like they'll have to like go over to America just to get seen or whatever, and even if they have to pay. So I mean, like, yeah, okay, that's a fair criticism, saying like, hey, he could have said Taiwan, he could have like referenced
Or
Australia.
No, he can't.
Australia.
He can't. I mean, you start talking Taiwan immediately, everybody. Oh, so you're actually Chinese, and we're going to do some sort of Chinese style.
Yeah, I get that, but no,
it's
right,
a racism.
on the subreddit. Yeah, on the Yang for President subreddit, the argument was always he's modeling it after Australia, is where Australia is a place where you have a public option, and you still have private insurance, and that was the argument that was always.
But the real argument. But the real argument is not about public option or no public option. It's about everybody coming to a consensus, and you can't do that in like 4 years. Some legislators talk about it by themselves without everybody's participation. And in Taiwan, it took at least 15 years to evolve the system that we love, and that's because they took it very gradually. They did one step at a time. And so if you do like every step all at once, of course people are unhappy. Everybody jumps on the website at the same time, it crashes immediately. Just like simple things. Just think about any little thing that can go wrong. It goes wrong and everybody goes nuts. That's the problem. We can't do things that are this big so quickly, right?
Yeah, but the problem is we kind of have to at the same time with the way the U.S. does its elections and with the gridlock in Congress. So
it's culture clash. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problematic situation when you don't have like all the resources you need, including time. Time is a resource to make something happen the way that it should.
But
so
you
how do
gotta
you
be precise? You can't rush these things, because you're putting America on the operating table. If you make one mistake, you're gonna just screw it all up, even worse. So it's like that's the main thing. Like, and then so when it came down to like who I support, like I'm gonna go with the guy who did his homework, which was Andrew Yang, even though he was weak on Medicare for all. So like he did his homework on other stuff, and he talked to the right experts and all that. Like that's why I was like, hey, let's listen to this guy. Like he's the real deal. And like it didn't matter if he just like if he wasn't like strong on Medicare for all or foreign policy. It's like he had various other strengths that could definitely help this economy, this country, and it's like that's why I was so sold on it. And he put his money where his mouth is. So yeah.
So the whole strong versus weak, right? That's strong versus weak is another like American way of thinking about things that is not necessarily accurate as to what we need to do here. I mean, is it time to strong arm the American public and pharmaceutical companies in a certain way, or is it time to actually?
No, it's time to strong arm. When I can go to a pharmacy, they're charging me out the ass, and then go across the border. And I think Sanders brought a whole bunch of people across the border, and it's a third of the price of what I'd pay here. Sometimes not any. That's a problem. And I'm all for incrementalism in the right situations, but if there are people dying, if people are having to skip days of medicine because they can't afford the next batch or what have you of name whatever life altering medicines, then now we're paying with people's livelihoods. So when we go to those people, right, and we say, look, this is going to take some time, we got to do it incrementally. We got to sit down at the table and talk to people, and it's just hang out, just be okay. They're like, I could fucking die. What are you talking about? Hang out, change the shit now. And that's what happened with a lot of Sanders supporters when he was like, we need to change this, we need to change it now. Revolution. That's why so many people jumped on. Now, I'm not saying the incrementalism is necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of people did not want to hear that.
if I can jump in and say the biggest reason why people are not on board with just like throwing our current healthcare system overboard, or especially probably why Yang didn't want to do it either, is that if you're going to abolish private healthcare altogether, you're putting 3 million people on the street. That's how many people that's how many people are employed by the private healthcare industry. 3 million people.
Oh, you're talking about the job factor of it.
Yes,
they're real people. It's not just pharmaceutical company. Pharmaceutical companies are made up of industry that supports people as well. Not, I mean, we kind of think of it as just this corporate, with nothing in it, but it employs people, right? So it's going to be painful for the entire nation to change quickly. And so the thing about Yang, the one thing about Andrew Yang is his optimism. It's an incredible optimism that a lot of people don't share right now. But he has this optimism that he knows if we do the right things, people are going to come along and people are going to say, this is great. We're going to continue with it. So that's why you can leave the option open. If you leave the option open, we're just going to outcompete them. We're going to do it so much better, right? Nobody's going to want to go out and pay for extra insurance when they don't need it. That's what's going on in Taiwan. You don't need that extra insurance, but you can buy some. If you really want to buy some, you can. And most people don't need it. That industry just slowly went away. So you just outcompete them using the governmental space, right?
Well, Yang basically sees the green code in the Matrix. That's Yang.
Yeah. No,
well, I
hate to, and I'm Neil.
I wanted to let everyone know that we're headed 10 minutes to our 2-hour mark. Do you guys want to do any, closeouts and making sure that everybody knows how to find you and all that?
Well, just Shale, when we talked about Good Dollar, did it pick any of that up or no?
Oh, that was not on our Twitch stream, and it may not appear in the podcast. Do you want to talk a little bit about for our audio podcast?
Yeah. So Ronnie, before you came on, we were talking about Good Dollar, and that's basically a cryptocurrency basic income that I think that it already is, or they're working on converting it into real money. So it's like Yang's kind of vision with like being created through cryptocurrency. So if anybody wants to check out Good Dollar, it's like we can create this parallel economy. They actually give you like $1 a day where you can do anything you want with it, and it's a worldwide thing.
Let me ask you. Let me just stop you real quick. Okay, so Good Dollar, and you're trying to make like an alternate currency, like so similar to Bitcoin.
Similar.
Okay.
Are you able to see the live stream chat? If you are able to, you can actually find the link there and click on it and find out more.
I'm afraid to click something and then you guys can't hear me anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, then let me tell you something I found interesting.
In the screen, if you can, Faye, like the way you do it.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I have an interesting thing that I discovered exploring this website, which is that it's they're tracking how many people claimed this Good Dollar so far, right? And there's a certain number in the United States, but Taiwan has an even greater number. I found that really interesting. So yes,
here.
I'm wondering why that is.
If it gets too big, didn't the government with Bitcoin, what was it, the Silk Road? Didn't they shut that shit down at one point? Whenever somebody tries to do something like an alternate form of currency and it starts looking real well, the government's like, we're gonna shut that down, especially when it's like untraceable and stuff like that. Is it like Bitcoin?
Well, I don't know how big it's gotten, but this is like an international thing, and like I don't know how you can like shut cyberspace down. I mean, like but it's kind of like I don't know. Like they would really have no reason. I mean,
sure
the thing
if it became an alternative, like a viable alternative to the dollar, and it allowed people to like subvert or sidestep a lot of the corruption that the dollar sort of entangles people in, then the people who have an interest in continuing
People
that
were-
corruption would shut down the alternate currency immediately. They'd be like, okay, if you own a wallet for this currency, you're going to go to prison. If you
Well,
trade, you're going to go to
Bitcoin's
prison
not
twice.
shut
You know,
down.
they would
Like,
do that.
Well, I say, regardless,
Well,
let's make them work to
Bitcoin's-
shut these people down by helping them out whenever they rise up. Like, if it's just more busy work for them, at least it's some sort of punishment for,
Well,
you know.
Oh, yeah,
well,
I mean,
they
do it anyway, and
hang
you know,
on.
hope for the
They-
best. But
they-
you know,
they
Yeah, I was
didn't,
just wondering how
yeah.
big it is.
They
I was
didn't
wondering how
shut
big
down.
I was wondering.
Well, Bitcoin, it got humongous and it hasn't been shut down. So
No. I don't mean it was shut down, but they seized a ton of it because people were buying houses with Bitcoin. People were buying cars. People were doing all sorts of nefarious things with Bitcoin. And so the government at one point did interfere, and they seized a ton of money. And the Bitcoin had fluctuated. It had at one point it was worth, I forget how much. It was like an incredible amount, and then it had dropped once the government interfered. Not saying that's going to happen to this or anything. I was just wondering how big this had already gotten, and I think Faye said it's already international.
Yeah, it's interesting because they had a sudden adoption spike after 9/11. So in these last few days this weekend, they're having spikes. So there must be they're gearing up, and there's more
wait,
there's
so
more information.
good dollar was there until 9/11.
No, I'm just saying this particular
11 that just passed.
weekend, just right
yeah.
now, these last few days, yeah.
Maybe
Maybe because the
okay,
basic
when
income
people say
march is
9/11,
coming.
I go back to 2001.
Think back to the actual 9/11 incident. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So okay. But they have a spike like right now. I'm like, holy shit! Like these guys were thinking about UBI all the way in cryptocurrency in 2001. I was like, yeah.
Well, it did say that they had started this in 2008, based on my exploration of it so far.
So it's been like over 16 years. It's been over, yeah. Or has it? No, 10, 12 years. It's been 12 years.
We have to have the
Not longer
creators
than
of
I-
this currency on.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Please, whoever does making contacts and does good at it, please do that, please.
But
I already sent them an email in case you're wondering.
the name of this thing is like good
That's been
dollar,
done.
so that means the other dollars are bad dollars.
I want to hear what Ronnie has to say while we have him.
About what per se?
I
The
don't
good
know.
dollar?
You
I think it
started
sounds
saying
amazing.
something, and I cut you off because of the delay. I don't know what you were going to say. But...
No. I think
should have
that's
opened
like
it in Chrome,
like
'cause it
Songbird was
doesn't
saying,
work well.
and everybody was saying support it. I'd support that for sure, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we can have a parallel economy, and people
nice.
can finally be like people are like, and also Face said it takes a picture of your face to make sure that you're not a bot, so people can't go on creating like multiple accounts with like the same faces and stuff. It actually opens up your camera, whether you're in front of your computer or phone, and like sees your face. Yeah, so that's so then it's like, okay, so we get one good dollar every day. So it's like every day our life has an intrinsic value in and of itself that hopefully like we can exchange for a little something with the people who are on this platform.
We should start doing in-show advertisements, but only take payment in form of good dollar.
Oh, we
I
can.
like how you think.
I believe we can.
Yeah,
So I'm going to share my screen again because I put this on Chrome, and it only really works on, it didn't work on my, but once you get in, you've actually signed up to start receiving good dollars. You can see this dashboard, which tells you more about what's going on. So that's how I found out that there's been spikes since September 5th. Suddenly a lot more users. They have over 3,000 users, and it is international. A lot of people in the United States, 28,000 claimed. All right, but then I was checking on Taiwan, and it says 50,000. And I'm wondering if it's because of this adoption.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because people in Taiwan easily adopt. They're not afraid of the surveillance.
I order some cool goods from Taiwan using good dollar once we start raking in the ad dollars?
Well, it looks like something's been happening, some sort of media blitz since September 5th of this month.
Shit, maybe
I mean,
this is really gonna happen. Let's get on this
maybe
ground floor and
in a
become
year,
big dollar
yeah.
billionaires.
Yes, and
Become
let's get
so rich and so ethical.
I don't know, man.
Whoa, we've got some accounts, top 10 accounts already have 860,000.
Let's have them on the show
it's really interesting.
for a fee.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering to see like what they bought with it or what they're using it for. If it's just like a scoreboard in an arcade game, then that's not that great. It's like, oh, high score. It's like, okay, what are you gonna use your high score on? Nothing. It's like, yeah, you got the high score, but you're just bragging about it. But if you're not using it, So I'm interested to see like what did you exchange these good dollars for, and how did you exchange it, and then we can really get into something. But if it's just like, oh, it's just a number on a screen, then I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe if the whole Yang gang starts taking good dollars, we can have our own currency. Maybe we should do that. That's kind of empowering to have your own currency. It's an interesting possibility.
Start one or two people who tried to start those up during the run, but I don't think they ever took off.
Yeah, Yang bucks, right? But
Yeah,
I mean, maybe this is more universal.
Yeah, they had reached out to me.
Like maybe the Yang gang can't adopt this currency that can also extend beyond the Yang gang.
Right. If it uses that blockchain ledger that I keep hearing about, that's like so. What's the word I'm looking for?
I can't imagine a cryptocurrency in 2020 would use anything but blockchain.
So that means it can't be screwed with. Like it can't be hacked or taken over or something like that. So that's the good news.
Well, the blockchain means you can see where the money has come from. You can see every transaction that money has ever had. It's digitally stored in it. So yeah.
And the interesting thing about, in terms of Taiwan adopting it faster, I think it's partly because they're so comfortable with cell phone technology. And that the cell phones being made right now, HTC is a Taiwanese corporation that has bridged the United States and Europe with China in order to create these, Apple phones and Android phones. HTC was the first to create the Android phone. And so they're moving the Bitcoin phone space. So their phones are going to be automatic from now on. And so I wonder if just the fact that they're so comfortable with cryptocurrency and phones that them to faster.
Seriously, what the hell is up with
the first Android?
All these Asian countries like blowing the United States out of the water when it comes to technology. We should be ashamed of ourselves, really.
It's like not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. They destroy us every single time.
Right.
I remember the HTC Evo when it came out.
Yeah, this country is so behind. It's like we're living in the freaking dark ages.
What was significant about the HTC Evo?
Like the further you are from the cities, the worse technology reaching you gets. We don't have like Ubers where I'm at. We don't have any of the food delivery things. Like my Walmart doesn't deliver food to the house, so like pandemic times are forcibly interacting with people the further out you go.
I remember when I worked for Radio Shack at one point. I was a manager at Radio Shack, and they were talking about, we were sitting there in a meeting and we were talking about all the stuff that's happening overseas at the time that was going to come out and eventually come to America. And what they were talking about, and this was years and years and years ago, because Radio Shack went out of business quite a long time ago. And it was like the fridges that would order the food for you. So like when you put the food in the fridge, it would scan it. When you're running low, it would order it. Kind of Peapod from Stop and Shop-esque, but it was like a lot of the stuff that Google and Amazon does now. Years ago overseas, they were already on the money with that shit. And we were just like, hopefully we'll get that soon. I'm just like, what? This is crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, we've been behind the curve since the 80s, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're almost kind of technology phobic here because we're terrified of violations of our rights in some ways, but and yet
how do you
allow so many of them.
How do you claim on the good dollar, the $1 whatever?
Well,
your daily
I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's kind of interesting. And I wanted to I want to find out if Ronnie, how would you like to be credited here? Do you want to give anybody your some way to contact you, or maybe your YouTube brand, or I can go ahead and put that in for you. Yeah.
Just if you type on YouTube, Read My Lips, News and Politics. I suggest you can put Read My Lips, but if you put Read My Lips, News and Politics, it's much easier. Because if you just put Read My Lips, George Bush is going to pop up often.
Yeah,
So Read My Lips, News and Politics.
And
my Twitter
would you like to?
is at TheRealBCereus. That's TheRealBCereus. That's same with my IG. My Facebook is Ronnie BCereus Hicks, and yeah, just check me out on YouTube. That's my go-to. I mean, add me on Twitter too. Those are what I'm on the most: YouTube and Twitter. Facebook, not so much. IG, not so much. But I have all those.
Thanks for coming on. You were
all right. Thank you.
Really, always
No
enjoy
problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
YouTube. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm sorry for the delay and the camera screw up. I don't know.
We're all real relaxed here. We had a good time.
I thought I was tech savvy, and my Logitech was like, "You thought."
I couldn't get Discord to stream through OBS for like 6 months because I was using hardware video acceleration. I don't know why the screen was black. I was just like, with 6 months of that for 6 months. I don't know. I Googled it incorrectly.
Crazy. Googled it incorrectly.
I mean, how else do you explain this long-running failure to troubleshoot? Just every time I Googled it, I would run out of patience. Like, all right, it's impossible. But eventually, I don't know what happened. I just found the right article, and I powered through, and I checked the right box in the settings, and now here we are. But I don't know why it took me 6 months. That's stupid. That's on me, right? I don't know.
6 months. Incrementalism. It's fine.
Incrementalism, yeah. But is that increment? It's like only one action took. There was one increment. It just took 6 months to increment. It didn't like work a little bit in the interim.
Right.
Anyway,
No, I got you.
That's just semantics.
Yeah, guys, we gotta do this again. We gotta do this more often.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
just see how everyone's doing during this 2020 year. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. And I'm happy everyone's doing okay.
Shill, are we still going to Jackbox this weekend? Because if you are, I'm just going to keep inviting people.
Yeah, on Saturday. On Saturdays, I'm going to keep doing it 7 to 9. So, yeah, please come hang out.
Do you ever play games, Ronnie? Ronnie, do you ever play games? Yeah?
Like a gamer, or like you're talking about Uno?
Party games? Sure. Video games?
Both.
Pictionary? I don't know.
You know the Jackbox game? You know the Jackbox. People know the Jackbox.
I'm not familiar.
All right. This is blowing my mind.
What's
Everybody
the Jackbox?
I meet in my real life knows the Jackbox games. I guess I don't meet a lot of people in my real life, just on the internet.
I'm a figment of your imagination.
That's right. All you figments got to know about Jackbox. It's just like party games. It's like kind of like Mad Libs, you know, like that's type of game. You're filling some language and then you get what you get, and it's funny and people vote on it. But it's like, you know, instead of the Mad Libs, the example I always go to is Madverse City, which is my favorite of like the games where you get two like giant rapping robots the size of like skyscrapers, and you're given two incomplete couplets and you got to complete them, and then the robot will perform, and then the whole party who's watching the TV votes, and the winner wins. And you know, it's for parties. It's also good to play like on streams with people.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of, you know, just getting to know people and their personalities by having a little game interaction together. So, and it has sort of this, you know, like Family Feud sort of, or some kind of, you know, aspect to it where you're live streaming and so
that does sound fun.
Yeah, come by sometime on a weekend evening if you're not, you know, and come hang out with us.
Yeah, if you get in the
absolutely
DMs, we'll remind you.
Usually it's Sundays.
Right.
Usually I'm free Sundays.
Maybe we'll do
That's
Sunday
usually
one.
what it is.
One of the days.
Special edition.
Sundays, everybody's tired. We should
Yeah.
probably call it here, right? It's almost like getting on towards 7. So, thanks you for coming, spending over 2 hours here. That was,
but like this is what I love. Like there's it's like I kind of like don't like the idea of like a Yang Gang cool kids table where it's like the bigger influencers are like up there and like the smaller ones are like down here. So then like hopefully Paget invites you, and then that'll open up the doors to like more of us who have been like kind of like I don't know that like down here, like has more ideas and stuff like that.
There is admittedly kind of a hierarchy in a sense. I'm not sure how it was how it became that way. But I definitely noticed that, and I didn't know how I felt about it. But I'm willing to talk to any fucking body. Like I'm just me. I'm just my beard is glorious, but that's about it. Well, that's about it. But I did notice, especially in the early stages. But I'm gonna mention you guys to Paget. I'm like, Paget, you should really go on there. There's a lot of intellectual people on there, and they play a lot of games.
Ronnie, here's the thing. Like I met Paget in real life when we had like the first like Yang Gang meetups, because she lives in LA and I live in LA, and we talked and something like that. But then when it's like and then it's like we move further and further apart when all this like publicity comes into play and all these like subscribers and views and all that stuff, and that's not cool. But anyway,
I met her in my dream. No, just kidding.
All right.
Format is we're all going to show up that day. There's gonna be like 20 people trying to talk to Paget. So let's do it right, guys. I'll talk about fans, right? If there's like 15 people, no sense.
Well, during my interview, I'm gonna let you guys know the date of the interview because she DM'd me yesterday. So I'm gonna let you guys know the date of the interview. Everybody go on there, and I'm gonna be like, you need to talk to all these people. You need to go on their Yang Gang Roundtable.
Hey, and
also make that the topic of conversation.
Okay.
And also possibly go on Izzyland Uncut. Just putting out there.
The thing about our Jackbox games is that we're trying to find ways to socialize where it's not always about talking about politics. Because sometimes lately, because of Yang having dropped out, it's gotten a little divisive among our own groups, and it'd be nice if we can hang together.
Yeah, and just
become a lot.
Yeah,
we'll do a Sunday one of these days.
Get
you to hang out with us.
Cool.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Shall we sign off, everyone?
Sign off. Yeah.
Partying is such sweet sorrow.
Yeah. So you go first.
Yeah. Would you like to give your sign off?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter. No longer Ariel's Armada. It's twitter.com/ArielsAriels. So that's ARIELS AERIALS. I do drone photos. I love flying those things. And youtube.com/revolutionary thinking. And I have an Ariel's Ariels YouTube page as well.
Yeah, I've never used a drone before. I'm so jealous.
I love the name.
You want to do your sign off?
I've used one and I crashed it. Who, me?
I was calling Izzy.
Izzy.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is Izzy Bolden, IZZYBOLDEN. I'm also on YouTube at Izzyland YT, and I have a podcast going, Izzyland Uncut. So it's like if you want to come on, definitely give me a DM on Twitter. I'm also like my handle on Instagram is the same as the Twitter one. So it's like, yeah, I'm that simple. So yeah.
How about you, Mia? Are you ready?
Okie dokie. I am Mia Songbird on Twitter, MEA, and then Songbird, like you would, spell Songbird. And I am also Mia Songbird on Frey.world. If you're sensing a pattern, there is one. And I do co-hosting on Tuesdays and Fridays for Humanity Hangs, where volunteers from Humanity Forward meet up with groups and we have conversations, sometimes about Yang, sometimes about other stuff, sometimes it's light, sometimes it's heavy. It's just a nice conversation with people you know you're probably going to get along with because they got a blue cap on. So I love you all and you have a great night.
Not always, but I digress.
Thank you, Mia.
Moto, are you here?
Oh no, I think he's just here for
Moto
bug testing.
isn't
Also, I muted
fully
him to stop
present.
making background noise.
Picture is amazing. Well, might I say your picture is amazing. You look like you're about to go Super Saiyan.
Wait, whose picture?
You haven't even seen this final form.
Moto. I haven't
Oh,
seen
Moto.
Moto's
Yeah,
final
yeah.
form.
He's idle. He's just he created our search engine as our search engine optimization bot, and I think he's actually I hear him in the other room because we live together, and he's definitely not attending to this chat. He's definitely on a different conversation. So don't worry about it.
Well, also that's the interesting thing is a podcast with Moto, but over Jackbox games there's bonding. All right, that's different. Then you get to know
It's
someone
lot
a
of
little
fun.
differently.
Yeah. Maybe yeah, we'll start inviting some guests to Jackbox. That's a great idea. But who else?
I want to plug one thing today, which is the Basic Income March and all the attending events. There's 40 of them all around the world, and there might be one close enough to you that you can get to. It's coming up this coming Saturday, I believe, and I think that's the 19th. The 19th of September is the Basic Income March. I will be at the car parade in Dallas. So hope to see you participating at one of these wonderful events and supporting universal basic income.
If one comes near me, I'll definitely be there. For sure.
Where are you located?
I'll be there in spirit.
Connecticut. So
Out in Connecticut? Okay, now the way you find out how to, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the live stream chat later, how to find an event near you.
West Hartford. Where you guys at?
I'm from Hudson Valley, New York, Middletown. Not New
yeah,
York City,
that's not that far.
but close. Yeah, it's not too far from Hartford.
Close.
I used to watch a YouTuber
Oh,
I think from Hartford named Dame Drops.
Stop.
If you know him. You know that
It's
guy?
too simple.
Hold on.
It's
Hold on.
dude.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Pause.
Yeah.
I have a story for you.
Right?
Oh yeah, please
Hold
do.
on.
Yeah.
Dame Drops is a food critic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew Dame Drops. Hold on. I knew Dame Drops.
Did you? Man, in the
before his channel.
What?
Hold on.
Stop.
Yes. Yeah, I knew Dame Drops, right?
That explains the
I'm
beard.
I'm friends with Dame Drops. Okay.
That explains your beard.
Yeah.
So Dame Drops, I think he worked at a car place before. And then he worked at Walmart too, but it, like the last job was like a car
I guess
place.
you would know better. I'm just going by his videos. You're in the place, so.
And so his
like, what's up, buddy? How you doing, my man?
His channel took off doing the food reviews and what have you. But so he's a friend of mine. So at the time I told him, now this is way later on, he bought his first house off of YouTube money, etc. So I tell him, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. This is gonna be crazy. And he goes, hey man, and there's a title. It's a title I always wanted to use, but I never used it. So I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know what your channel is gonna be about, but you should call it Read My Lips.
No fucking way. Dame Drops named your channel?
Dame Drops gave me the idea to use my Read My Lips.
That's fantastic.
Now then he's done stuff with Martha Stewart and all this stuff. So he's been gone. He hasn't been in Connecticut for a couple months. I think he's on his way back.
Okay, at least he's not gone forever.
Here's the thing though.
Yeah.
He has no idea that my channel has gotten to where it is or that I even started it.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
when he
not
comes
bad.
back, I'm gonna be like, "Dang, take a look at this." He's gonna be floored because at the time he told me to use Read My Lips. I had no idea I was gonna do a political channel or anything like that. And then like months and months later, I eventually used Read My Lips. And so when he comes back to Connecticut, it's gonna be quite interesting.
Fucking amazing.
To see like, hey, yeah, small world, right?
All right, Ronnie, so what we're gonna do, right? So I know, like in the back of my mind, I didn't think you knew him, but like that was like 1%. I was like, I'm just gonna mention Hartford because it's not that big. You're both YouTube guys, about the same age. Maybe you know each other.
He's a big name. It's like I didn't know that about you.
I mean, he's
I'm
older.
a man.
Actually,
Well,
but
here's
yeah.
the thing. I'm a manager of it's a store called DXL, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially big
Shoe
and tall
store?
clothing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know DXL. Yeah.
No, it's clothing.
Yeah,
Yes. Dame Drops is a big
man.
and tall guy.
That makes sense. I trashed.
So he would come in all So he would come in all the
Shit.
time, and that's how we established a friendship. And at the time, I wasn't doing YouTube or anything. He was, and then obviously months later, I started the YouTube channel. Yang was running, so he has no idea that it's gotten to where it is.
That's amazing.
But he will. Yeah,
All
small
right, this
world.
is what we gotta do.
Small.
Then you show Ron. You show him. You be like, hey, we gotta go to Middletown where I am. It's not too far. We go to this place called Mix and Mac. They got good macaroni and cheese. It was like a 3-way video. Talk about Andrew Yang.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to get him to go to this place for years.
He's a good dude.
So there are 3 different locations that are possibly close to you. One is the New York City one. That's at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and it's a bike parade. Then there's Woodstock 20 Guaranteed Basic Income Virtual March, which is Woodstock, New York. And then there's the Boston Basic Income March, which is at Boston Commons.
Woodstock.
So
probably the one closest to me. Maybe
All right.
I'll have to go to. So it's a virtual march. That sounds safe.
That's a virtual march.
All right, that's the one for me.
That's the one where you make art. You make your own art and you parade it through virtually.
I'm lucky enough to have the march I'm physically closest to be non-physical.
Well, I'm doing a march for St. Jude next month, and it's a virtual march. So that's that's definitely the thing right now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very supportive of demonstrations in general, but still not like 100% like comfortable with big mass demonstrations during a pandemic. No matter how much the world is falling apart, I'm not saying I'm against it either. It's just like I'm not comfortable either way. Either way, we're in a real double bind here. I don't want to go out.
Right.
I want to stay in here until this is
Understandable.
over. Personally, if I can. I mean, I will go out.
Understandable.
Yeah. That's all.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Shale, do you want to take us out and I'll close out the stream?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, take us out like a sniper.
Yeah. Well, my name is Shale. My name is Shale Riley, and thank you for watching. And my Twitter is at SHAELRILEY on Twitter. We'll be back Friday next week with 3 more episodes of the Yang Gang Roundtable for the next weekend. So until then, goodbye. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Peace.
There we go.
Izzy.